Joining me now on the Split Ends podcast is Browns fullback Johnny Stanton. And before we get into your cleats, Johnny, I have to tell you that my brother's name is Johnny, but he spells it without the H. So which spelling do you think is better?
I don't know. I feel like whenever you see the word John has an H in it. So, and that's
Right.
my, real name, John Richard Stanton the fourth. So just throw in any NY on there and you got it. But I mean, your brother's spelling is just as valid. Not trying to take away from him.
Well, no, does it like make you mad? Because I'm an Erica, but I spell it with a C. So people that spell it with a K when they text me or whatever. I mean, you probably have the more, known way to spell Johnny. My brother is just Jon. So maybe he got the short end of the stick here.
I don't know. I think the people who should be the most mad are people named Ashley because there are like 20 different ways to spell Ashley.
Yeah, that's true. And they get more like crazy as time goes on too. It's like, why don't we just spell it, the normal way and no, whatever. So let's talk about my cause, my cleats. So I was so moved to see when it just popped up into my Twitter feed about why you decided to go with Athlete Ally this year. Take me through that process and what made you decide to go in that direction.
Well, obviously, NFL gives us a really good opportunity to be able to support the causes that we want to, support, and a lot of guys take advantage of that, which I think is always a really cool thing. We oftentimes we're the one who get to go out and choose our artists, and we are the ones who commission them. Obviously, they're not just doing this pro bono. We want to be able to support them. So last year, I chose another foundation that was very close to me, the Jesse Reese Foundation. Okay. And they work with pediatric cancer patients, and they do a really incredible job. And I'm very close to the Reese family, so it felt very obvious for me to be able to do that. But when I was injured in 2018, that's when I first became involved with the Jesse Reese Foundation, and that's when I was at home trying to figure out what to do. And around the same time, I got involved with Athlete Ally. At the same time, I became an Athlete Ally ambassador, and I was really proud of that. I felt very proud of the fact that this isn't something that a lot of football players are not doing. So this year, when I had the opportunity again to have some cleats made to support a cause that I'm passionate about, I felt like it was a really good opportunity for me to be able to support something that not a lot of people support, and especially this summer when Carl Nassib came out, it really felt like the right time. This is really something that I can kind of piggyback off of and really throw my support behind, because I just think I felt like it was a really good opportunity, and right, to just be able to show my support to Carl as well. Show that you're not the only person in the league who's willing to support this.
Yeah, I think it was just so moving, and I just to think about what this looks like and where we are in 2021, and you have things like what Carl has done for the league, and then people like you who just come out and say, you know what, listen, you should feel safe here on this field, and I'm going to support that. And to see someone do that is just so impactful, and it's just, I'm so excited to see and to talk with you about it. What was the response from your teammates, from Twitter, which I can imagine can be all over the place? Mm-hmm. What was that like?
Honestly, it was overwhelmingly positive. Obviously, there was some negative in there, but it really wasn't anything that was super impactful in any way. It was much more positive than negative, and I had the support of my teammates. The Browns organization was very supportive of it. I even cleared it with them, like, hey, just so you guys know, for my cause, my cleats, I'm planning on supporting Athlete Ally, and obviously, it's not super common for people to, in my position, to support an LGBTQ rights organization, but I just want to let you know, as long, I'm hoping that you guys can support me in this, and they were all about it. They were excited to be able to support me with it, which I really appreciated. But yeah, I mean, I got, including yourself, which I really appreciate, the retweets and everything like that. I got a lot of support with it, and kind of culminating with the NFL posting it to their Twitter account and Instagram account was unexpected, but absolutely welcomed and very cool.
So what made you, and this is such an easy question, right? But for a lot of people that don't understand, what made you put your pronouns in your bio?
Because it's, like you said, it's such an easy thing to do.
Right.
And it doesn't mean anything. It's what you want to be called by, and that's just, and I've had people talk to me, I'll have message requests that show up on on my Instagram DMs, and a lot of them are, pretty mean, especially when those pictures came out. But a large majority of them have been not only extremely supportive, but also like genuinely asking questions. There was somebody who asked, like, you're obviously a male. Why do you have he, him pronouns in your bio? I said, well, because, there are people who might not be as passing or something in the gender that they are, not even identify as, that's the gender they are. It's not preferred pronouns. It's your pronouns. So
Right.
if you can normalize people showing their pronouns for people who are cisgendered, it won't be as big of a deal that, you don't want just the people who have to clarify their pronouns to be the ones who are clarifying their pronouns.
Right.
So I just want to be able to help normalize it. And it's such an easy thing to do.
So what does being an athlete ally, like ambassador, include?
Honestly, the majority of it is just throwing your name behind the organization. Being able to be available for different, not even events, because the majority of the time that I've been as part of Athlete Ally has kind of been around COVID and not really a whole lot of in-person events. And plus they're in New York, and my off season, I live in California. So, sometimes it is supporting them through social media. This summer during Pride Month, I created a fundraiser to benefit. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting the second organization. It was to benefit Athlete Ally, and I think it was the Black Women's Players. I forget exactly what it was, but it was a really cool organization that supported Black athletes, Black female athletes. And I was able to give away some signed hats, signed gloves, a couple different things that, and I think the grand prize was a football signed by the whole team.
Wow.
And we were able to raise, I think, a little bit over $2,000 for that. And I was able to match all donations. So it was a really cool opportunity for me able to be able to support them. And it was kind of my most active way in supporting them before My Cause, My Cleats this year.
Yeah, well, I ordered my Play Beyond the Game shirt, and
Awesome.
I'm super excited to be rocking that when I can get it. So, I want to pivot a little bit more to the football side for a second. So, you played quarterback in college, and then you shifted to fullback for the Vikings in 2018. Like, that is not necessarily like the straightest career path. What was that shift like for you?
Obviously it was a big learning opportunity. It was
Right.
what it was. My college career, I bounced around from a couple different schools. I started in Nebraska. I bounced back from, I went to Saddleback College and then bounced back to UNLV. And throughout my career, I didn't really end up having, the performance that I was hoping to have. I didn't end up being in the situation that I was hoping to be put in. So by the time my senior year came, I wasn't starting quarterback anymore. And I wanted to get out there on the field. So I asked my head coach, hey, can I play some special teams? So they put me on special teams a game. I got a punt block. The linebacker coach said, hey, can you help us at linebacker? We're a little bit short from injuries. I was able to play a couple games at linebacker before I actually came back at quarterback for a couple games. And then my senior year is over, and I'm like, okay, I played, I think, 7 games at quarterback and didn't, throw up the world-breaking numbers that I was, hoping to have as a high school kid or going into college. So when it came down to participating in pro day, participating in trying to get in front of scouts, I wasn't sure if I was going to do it before I actually got a call from the CFL to see if I could try out for them, and they wanted me to work out at my pro day. So I thought, if I'm going to be doing the pro day, I might as well. If I'm going to be in front of NFL scouts, and if it's not going to be for quarterback, I can show that I'm an athlete and I can play a lot of different positions in the field. So I worked out at quarterback, tight end, linebacker, and long snapper on my pro day.
Okay.
And I still haven't said fullback yet. But I got the opportunity to try out for Minnesota as a tight end during their rookie minicamp. I did well enough to be signed. And as right before my flight home, I remember seeing on Twitter, it's like, we signed a new player, Johnny Stanton, number 48 fullback. I'm like, I guess I got to learn
What?
a new position.
Wow.
So yeah, those first couple months was a lot of learning. I got to learn from one of the best running back coaches in the league. Coach Paul Malu over there, behind one of the best fullbacks in the league, CJ Ham. And it was a really good opportunity. And then I ended up breaking my ankle in 2018. So, and then it was
Ugh.
about a year and a half before I got to be on another team. So it was a long road to be able to come here on the Browns in January of 2020.
Well, I find that inspiring that look at where you are now and it doesn't kind of matter where you start, it's where you finish. And you scored your first NFL touchdown this year and it happened to be a primetime game, right? So did it feel more significant that like all eyes were on you in that moment?
You know, I when I scored it, the primetime aspect of it didn't really come across to
Doesn't.
me. It was more just like afterwards, like I think I got a lot more text than I would have otherwise if it was just like a Sunday, 4 o'clock game. But I don't think it really necessarily adds to the specialness of it. Just being able to score that touchdown, have Case throw it, choose to throw to me on that play. You have coach, have the confidence in me to call my number. It was, it was very special in itself. I actually just got the football back that I
Oh,
scored.
cool.
So they put some artwork on it and stuff. It's pretty
That's
cool.
amazing. Did you have to pay someone like a Bitcoin to get it back, or was it like a Brady situation?
No, it wasn't that bad. But I spiked the ball pretty hard after scoring it, and it went like 20 yards away. There's still like the paint mark actually on the side of the ball.
Oh my god, I love that so much. Some fans of this is weird, feels weird to say. Some fans of mine had made a Dungeons and Dragons chart, and they put me as chaotic evil, and I don't think that sounds good. Do you think I fit into that category? Like, what does that even mean?
I think I'll have to watch your show or listen to your show a
Okay.
little bit more to be able to figure that out. But I think the classic example of chaotic evil is the Joker.
Okay.
So if you
Ugh.
relate to the Joker a lot,
I mean, I don't think so, but
especially not the new one, yeah,
right? Like that's okay. I mean, I guess I have to work on my
you have to work
public
on your image a
persona
little bit,
there.
yeah.
Seriously. But so you're super into D&D and you've played with teammates like Miles Garrett. Is it like what was that night like?
Um, so we got to play a little bit last year, and there's a very cool story. The fact that one of the a big article in Sports Illustrated that just came out this last week was all about Miles, Wyatt, and me playing Dungeons and Dragons is the weirdest thing ever. But they talk about it a little bit in the article that I saw Miles wearing a Stranger Things shirt one day during like camp or early on in the season last year, and I said, "Hey, do you want to play the game that they were playing in that? It's called Dungeons and Dragons." He said, "Yeah, I'd like to try it out." So that was about as easy as it was. So then we got some more teammates to play it, and I think we played like 3 times last year. We got to play 3 times this year,
Oh
and that was
wow.
kind of the finish of the little like campaign story that I started. So it's super fun. They get really into it. We play with Miles's girlfriend and best friend, and with Wyatt, and it's super fun and a cool way to be able to become closer to some teammates.
Yeah, that sounds so cool, and I'm picturing you guys as the Stranger Things characters right now, and I'm trying to fit in like who Miles would be, but I think that's like a question for another time. But as someone who's personally in the LGBTQ community, like for me, it was so touching to see what you decided to dedicate your cleats to this year, and to know that here we are in 2021, and there are football players saying you have a safe space here. So from me and from other people in the community, like I cannot thank you enough for just something as simple as cleats. Like it meant the world to me and so many people.
Well, thank you for saying that. It was, I wanted, in essence, like you said, I wanted people who are growing up to not feel like they have to hide who they are in what should be the most comfortable you feel. Like on the football field is where I feel the most comfortable. And if I wouldn't be able to feel like myself on the football field, then, it'd be a tragedy. So, and I know that's the reality for thousands of kids, and they feel uncomfortable to the point where they drop out of sports, of youth sports, at a much higher rate because of the just the culture of sports here in the U.S. and around the world, really. So no, I appreciate you saying that, and still got a long road ahead, but I'm happy to be part of it.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks for your time today. It was so great to sit down with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
That's
thank
great.
you.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Aaron,
Erica,
anything
yeah, you
else?
didn't use any of my Dungeons and Dragons questions.
I can't read. I don't even know what that means. Like 5e
You can ask him now if you like. Yeah.
Pathfinder. What does that mean?
My main question was if you can make your own party of any NFL coaches and players.
Oh,
who do you want?
That's a
who
good
do you
one.
want as your party?
Ooh.
And they don't have to play because like who knows?
Okay. Are you saying like fill out the class like chemistry?
Who's gonna be your druid? Like
Okay, wait. You
that's a
have
good
to like
question.
sort. You have to dumb this down. What a druid?
So,
What is that? Is that
Think
like
of
the
have you seen Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
Okay. So if you think about Lord of the Rings, they had like the Fellowship of the Rings was like basically a D&D party.
Okay.
You have Gimli, who's like a fighter. You have obviously Gandalf, who's the wizard. You have Legolas, who's the ranger. All of these are different archetypes who kind of play into what a like fantasy archetypes. What like you don't want everybody to be a spellcaster, or else somebody with a sword will be able to come up. Sorry for cursing.
No.
You wouldn't want everybody to have a sword because one spellcaster would be able to mess all of them up. You want to have like a good mix, and then like have a healer, so like be able to have somebody like keep you alive.
But what if your healer gets got?
Exactly, you want your healer to be protected, so you want somebody to be able to kind of tank some damage.
Okay.
It's funny. I was thinking of like high football IQ guys to be like a high intelligence score. I think Jarvis Landry honestly has one of the highest football IQs that I've ever seen on the field. If you don't put like a quarterback in at a wizard, then I think that you put Jarvis there.
Okay.
I mean, you can in Dominican Sue would probably be pretty good barbarian. Wyatt plays our barbarian.
Okay, that fits.
I don't know. That's a good question, though. I feel like I have to start thinking about that. But those are kind of like my off the top of my head, my best ones.
Okay. What about Baker?
Baker, what kind of class would he be? One of Baker's best qualities is like his charisma, his like ability to lead, and paladins use their charisma like to be able to kind of like cast magic and stuff. But they're also like fighters, and that's kind of what I think about Baker. Is like he's one of the toughest dudes in the field as you guys have seen this season. Like he
plays with every injury known to man.
Absolutely. So like kind of the combination of toughness, but also being like smile in the face of like death in front of you is kind of the what I'm thinking of like as a paladin for him.
Wow.
Yeah, Erica, just so you know, I would peg you as like you're more chaotic neutral. You would probably be a bard, I think, actually.
I can see that.
And
Colleen, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Colleen would be. I think Colleen would be like a chaotic good or lawful good.
Okay.
And I don't know class for her yet, but I felt like you would. I as you were writing this last night, I was like, I kind of feel like Erica could be a bard. So.
I don't know what that means.
A bard is like somebody who, like a traveling musician or a traveling poet or something like that. Like you're very much into the arts, but you're using that as like your magic.
Okay.
And Erica's in like a million different podcasts. So
yeah, I don't shut up. I'm just so sick of the sound of my own voice.
That was so awesome.
Yeah.
We should do more like that.
I know. It was so awesome. He was so nice and so sweet. And also, I had to like totally fake, talk about being a professional. We talk about that a lot. I totally was like, oh, yeah. This is so great during the interview. But then after, thank God Aaron was there to explain to me all of the Dungeons and Dragons stuff because I had no idea what any of that meant.
Yeah, you lost me a little bit on that. As I said before the show, whenever I hear D&D, I think it's Dunkin' Donuts. So Dungeons and Dragons, kind of over my head.